Hello, lovely booktubers. I'm Debs. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I am here in the book shack on a wet and soggy afternoon here in the UK. A word of warning, the book shack cat is mooching about somewhere and may well jump up at some point. I have no control over him. I apologise in advance. Right. It's that time of year again. We are coming up. The announcement videos have been made. It's nearly the Read What You Own challenge. Now, last year, viewers who were around this time last year, particularly for the first 2 months of this year, will remember me moaning and moaning and moaning about how I wanted to buy some books, but I couldn't because I was still in the middle of the Read What You Own challenge. For those of you who don't know, the Read What You Own challenge was set up by Olly. I think it was 4 years ago. I wasn't on BookTube then. I took part last year. And the aim, quite simply, is to read books that you own before you buy any more. There are four. There's Olly and 3 co-hosts, Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads, MJ at Reading This Life, and Krystal at Fibre Artsy. I'll link to their channels below. Check out their announcement videos. There are various tiers on this year, and I am opting for the top tier. In fact, I'm opting for more than the top tier, and I'll tell you why. Last year, I pledged to read 100 books. We started at the beginning of November. I finished by, I think it was February the 18th. It was mid-February. And like I say, for most of January and February, I was moaning about the fact that I couldn't buy any more books. So I thought what I would do, at the back of this little book, I would write down every physical book that came into my house, whether I'd bought it, was given it, acquired it in some other way, which basically means stealing it out of my mother's garage. I would also then, once I'd read that book, mark it off with a gold star that I had read that book. And what I thought was I would take the total number of books brought into the house minus the number of them that I had read, and the difference would be the number of books I had to do for the Read What You Own challenge this year. Now, I thought it would be a way of curbing my book buying. What's actually happened is, up until about 2 weeks ago, a number of books had come into the house. 190 had come into the house. And like I say, it's only physical books I'm thinking of. And I had read 82 of them, which left me 108 books still to read. So my plan didn't really work. But then, even though I knew I was going to have all these books to read, I was somewhere, secondhand bookshop, and I bought this, Joseph Cannon, The Defectors. I bought this, new stories in the style of H.P. Lovecraft, The Madness of Cthulhu. And I bought this, P.D. James's Children of Men. That was the first mistake. Then it was my birthday. And for my birthday, among the things I was given was Mary Oliver's new and selected poetry, the fourth book in Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time. This is called Sodom and Gomorrah. This is for a reading event next year. And then The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky, also for a reading event next year. Finally, I was given this. This is Richard Osman's new book. It's a brand new series, We Solve Murders. I was really grateful for all of them, but the total starts going up. Yesterday I went into Nottingham City Centre to meet a friend for lunch, and remembered before I went that I still had some outstanding credits at Waterstones. And it's one of those loyalty credit things where they give you a certain amount of credit once you've bought a certain amount of books, value of books. Wasn't quite sure how much I had, so I went into Waterstones to see what what's that expression? You might as well have be hung for a sheep that as a goat. I thought, I'm over the 100 already, I might just as well have a last fling before we start these things. So I bought Against the Day, Thomas Pynchon, again for a reading event that is coming up. And then I bought Vladivostok Circus by Elisa Schuer Dusapin. I've read another of her books, The Pachinko Parlor, which I enjoyed. I just thought that looked interesting. I enjoyed the cover. I bought Rainer Maria Rilke, Change Your Life. This is Essential Poems from Rilke. Aaron Facer likes Rilke very much. I've never tried the poetry, so I thought I would have that. I bought Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury because I thought it was a glaring great hole in my collection. I bought this, The 16 Trees of the Somme by Lars Mitting. I've got another book by Lars Mitting that also I haven't read, but I like the idea of that. And then I bought a Seishi Yoshimizu book, The Devil's Flute Murders. Seishi Yoshimizu is a very famous murder mystery author from Japan. He wrote the Honjin murders, which I enjoyed very much. So I had no idea how much credit, by the way, that I had on my card at Waterstones. So I went up to the till, and I had another book as well that I was buying as a gift for somebody. And I handed over this pile of books and said, could I take the credit off my card, handed over my card, and said, I have no idea how much is on the card. And the woman tapped the card on the cash machine and she said 11p. And I said, oh, really? And she said, yeah, that's what's left after you've bought the books. And I thought, well, that was clever. I couldn't have got closer to the total if I'd have tried, if I'd have actually known what was on there. Now, finally, I've recently read The Warden by Anthony Trollope. I found a copy of Barchester Towers. I have the collection on ebook, the Barsetshire Chronicles, but I like hard copies, what can I say? So I got that in the Oxfam bookshop. Also, because it was a great gap in I've had this book before, but I don't know where it's gone, so I bought it again. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Then I bought a vintage Hemingway called A Movable Feast that I actually haven't got and have not heard of it either. That goes there. I bought, now I don't know how to pronounce this. I bought a book called, I think it's Tsotsi by Athol Fugard. I just fancied reading it. And then finally, I was talking the other day about how much I enjoyed a book called A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. Other than that book, I have never seen out in the wild another book by J.L. Carr. And then I found this. This is called The Harpole Report by J.L. Carr, and it says, the funniest and perhaps the truest story about running a school that I have ever read, says Frank Muir. Absolutely splendid, says the Times Literary Supplement. So, rather than having 108 books to read for the Read What You Own challenge, I now have 126. My challenge last year and this year is about reading physical books. The idea is that I want to clear some space in this ridiculously crammed book shack. Here and here, I have my classic books, but the two bottom shelves of this one are filled with unread fiction. And then at the other end of the shack, I've got two shelves that come up to here, three actually. And the bottom two shelves of this one are also filled with unread fiction. What I really like to do is to read the two shelves on this shelf and this shelf and clear them of the unread fiction, general fiction, so I can extend the space I have for the non-fiction books at that end and the classic books at this end. That's the aim. You are allowed to set get out clauses if you like for this challenge. I am pledging to read 126 books, physical books that I own, before I buy any more physical books. I am also pledging not to buy any ebooks until the end of this year, because I have everything I need for events for this year. What I might do, in fact, what I will do, if there is anything that I feel that I desperately need for events for next year, I give myself permission to buy an e-version of it, not a physical version of it. But those obviously won't count towards my total if I read them, because only physical books count in my total. Those are just my rules. Again, if I receive books for Christmas, I have no control over that. And therefore, if they are physical books and I read them, they will count. Last year, I wasn't quite sure what to expect this year. I'm really looking forward to this event because I have so many books that I have purchased because I wanted to read them and I haven't read them. So this is the kick up the backside, really, that I need to go through what I have. I might, I'm going to decide whether I want to unhaul any of them once I've read them. I think the only reasons really I should keep books is if I think I want to reread them at some point, and also if they're part of a collection. Other than that, if I've read them and they were just, okay or whatever, I really ought to get rid of them. I live in a really small house and a really small shed, and I don't have the space for these things. But I am really looking forward to this event. If it starts not next week, but the week after, the first full week of November, I may read a couple of these that I've recently bought before then, in which case the number will go down. But at the moment, the number stands at 126, and it's entirely my own fault, and I'm going to have to try harder next year. But in the meantime, I'm looking forward to this. But I am also enjoying my new book haul. Are you taking part? How many books are you planning to read? I mean, it's okay just to say 10 or 5 or whatever. Again, these things aren't compulsory. I use it as an excuse because when I've read general fiction that is in here, I move them onto a bookshelf inside. And so I use it as a way to clear up space. And the only reason for making more space is to buy more books, isn't it, really? Anyway, that's it from me for today. Let me know in the comments if you're taking part. Check out the other guys' videos because they're great and they'll explain more about the event. Have a lovely weekend, and I will speak to you very soon. Thank you for popping by. Bye for now.